Hello everyone! Welcome back to Drawn by Any channel. Grab your tea, coffee and snacks and let's dive into today's video. Today I have some swatches in my hands and in fact I'm not going to draw anything new, but I have to do something for the future art videos and for my future works and everything. So I've had my swatches for a bit too long and some of them have been damaged and some of them had some accidents happen to them. So I kind of thought that it would be a good idea to redo them as the colors have been fading, so I could also check out all of my markers and whichever didn't work I could leave them on a side and see if I need any replacement. And I also like to have a swatch in one piece, and I mean I'm grateful for the provided swatch papers from Ohuhu and they work pretty well, but since I have my own preferences I decided it is time to reorganize things and also remake the swatch, so it would be easier for me to keep things organized and in one place so it wouldn't cause more chaos in my head than it already is. And I was just thinking that since I'm just making some swatches here and there's no actual art process or anything specific, I could speak about something useful and helpful as well for both artists and art lovers and people in general, because I think that chores are something that everybody of us have, and no matter how old or young you are, at every stage of life you have things that you kind of need to do but not always that you want to do. And I've been struggling recently with some of them, so I decided I would release the tension by also structurizing my own day and chores, and while I'm on it, share some tips and tricks that have helped and worked for me so far. You see, I'm this type of person who gets distracted really easily, and unless I have a proper plan for the day or the task, I'm very easily distracted and I could forget about it in the first place and start doing something completely different. It could be useful or entertaining, but it's not necessarily related to the original task. And then after a while I see something that reminds me of my original task. I'm like, oh, I forgot to do it. So in order to make things done, especially the important tasks, I'm making like a list of things and I'm writing down the stuff that it needs to be done today or like in a proper deadline. Could be today, could be this week or this month, whatever. Like I'm setting myself a plan and a deadline for the plan to be executed. And it's not even guarantees that I will still do it, because sometimes even if I start doing the task, my physical or mental condition could affect the progress. Sometimes I feel like it's better to postpone the task if there is like a longer deadline for it to be done, rather than trying to make myself and push myself and make it even worse. It's good to have a plan, but you should also listen to your body and your mind, and that's the reason that I give myself a lot of time to pre-plan and prepare mentally for the most part. At least that's what I do, because I know that the result will be affected drastically if I'm not in a proper condition, if that makes sense. That's why planning ahead really helps me, because I give myself some amount of time to prepare and to cook it in my mind, you know, and think it over. And then when I'm finally ready to start, I usually do the task. So pre-cooking in my head usually helps things to be done properly by the time I need it to be done. Rarely, even if I plan things and pre-cook things and I go and sit and do the task and I feel like it's not going well, I'm just stopping myself right there and switching to something else to help my brain escape this state of stuck. And it either means that something's wrong physically, like maybe I didn't sleep well, or if I'm hungry or thirsty, I usually go and fulfill this need of my body, and then after that it feels better and I can continue doing the task. But if I fulfilled everything that I could for my body and I still cannot do the task, it means that my mental state is not in a correct place and I have to do something completely different to help switch the thinking states. and then try and come back to the original task later in the day or in the week. Like, I don't know how normal it is or like how common it is in other people, but it's just, I know myself. I know that if I'm just trying to push myself through in the moment, it's not gonna work, or at least it's not gonna work well. I care about the result, and I also care about the process of this result being achieved. So I switched my tactics and decided I would work around my specific needs or features, let's say, of my brain thinking, and try to help when it struggles and reward it when it's doing good job. I'm kind of tricking myself like a dog trainer. But since it works, I'm just gonna continue doing it, because if it works, it works. Just let it be. So yeah, I think that could be helpful for anybody. If you're making a plan and you're mentally prepared to execute it, it's gonna work out. Another thing that contributes to me being distracted from the original things that I plan to do is the cleanliness of my home and my mind as well. I guess physical surrounding affect me way more than most of the people, and in order to make things work for myself, I have to keep the surroundings more or less organized and clean, because it pisses me off so much if I want to do something creative and I notice some garbage or like particles on the floor. It's just, I cannot sit there and look at them. I have to stand up and clean them up before I can continue. I don't know if that's like something mental with me, but that's just how I am. Like, my workspace should be more or less clean and neat, so I can concentrate on the actual things, like maybe doing research or writing or like making a sketch. Otherwise, my mind is going to be full of chores that needs to be done afterwards, and I cannot really concentrate. So I try to do that before my creative time. And since mornings are not very productive for me in terms of like being creative, being in the mood for being creative, I tend to do these things in the morning or like daytime, and creative things are falling onto the darkest part of the day, like evening and nights. So a zombie me who is barely waking up at 10 and having my coffee and then breakfast around noontime, it's perfect schedule for me to do some cleaning or like the physical home chores, maybe some health chores alongside, like cooking and preparing a healthy meal and going to gym, and then dive into the good part of the day, which is drawing and doing like an art research or something that I actually like to do. Yeah, I count going to gym and cooking a healthy meal a chore, because, you know, I would rather just order some fast food, eat that, and then have more time for creating, rather than spending 3 hours making a grocery list, then going to store, pick up the stuff, and then going back home and then preparing everything and, you know, cleaning and cutting and everything. This, only thinking about this makes me want to go lay down on my bed. I'm already tired. Yeah, kids, adulthood is not fun at all. For the most part, you have to do some boring stuff in order for the rest of your life to be good. Chores are so very important. Like, if we don't do them, we're gonna end up suffering way more than if we do them regularly. Specifically health chores and clean chores, because cleaning is actually contributing into our health as well, both physical and mental. I know that could sound very boring and very discouraging, but like, if you look at this another way, like, you have to have proper tools and proper environment and proper mood, and in order to achieve that, you're doing the little side quests or like daily quests. So your main quests, like doing art for me, for example, would run smoothly, and each fulfilled side quest gives you more experience and more resource and skill points that you can spend on your actual loved craft. Yeah, thinking about it this way certainly helps ease things up in my head. Somebody once told me that a lumberer cannot work well with a blunt axe, so he needs to take time to sharpen it. I guess that goes to every one of us. In this case, wood lumbering would be any type of craft, and sharpening the axe would be taking care of your mental health and chores in order to ensure your success in the future. So yeah, anytime you struggle with productivity or filling in tasks that you don't really like, like, just remember this, that you're doing this for your future self, and your future self will for sure thank you a lot. It's like wanting to eat a lot of candy and never brushing your teeth. You know, this will really quickly ensure that you have cavity, and cavity will ensure that you will have a lot of pain. Yeah, I could go on with a lot of examples like that. Even though I realize everything and its importance, sometimes I'm still struggling and cannot always remember the importance of discipline, and pull myself together sometimes is a big challenge. But I figure out some of the helpful rituals that are helping me in these cases, and while I can still distract a little bit myself from the task at hand, later after this quote-unquote distraction, I can come back and kind of have a little bit more energy to try and do as good as I can. And these distractions usually don't take up much time, usually around 5 minutes or even less. And this could look as easy as making some break for a tea, or go grab a snack, grabbing a cat and snuggling with them on a couch. I can also check up on my friend or ask how my husband's day is going. We are living in a time of internet, so I can write him a message whenever I want, and if he's free he can reply to me as well. But more often I'm just going to check out some short videos on either YouTube or TikTok and scroll through a few drawing videos. That also usually helps me. Like when I see other people draw, it feels like I'm drawing that as well. So I kind of trick my brain into thinking that I had a drawing session for 5 seconds, but like I didn't really have it, but still it feels like I had. I can just stand up from my desk and do some quick little exercise like squat or like a stretching, or even put on a loud music and have a dance session for 5 minutes. Since I'm working from home during daytime, people around me are usually at work at this time, so I don't even bother anybody if somebody is concerned with that. What seems to help a lot also is either looking outside the window for a few minutes or walking out for some sun exposure, either on a porch or in the backyard or a balcony if you have that, or just looking through my own drawing materials, either art books or my own sketchbooks and journals. It's nice to dive back into the old notebooks and sketchbooks and journals and see how differently I was doing things back then. And if my cats are hiding and I cannot find them, sometimes I go out in the backyard and check out my plants. We recently got a few bushes and I'm watering them during these little checkup breaks. And also my indoor plants as well. They're all part of this household and a family, so it's nice to check on them. So yeah, these are my little rituals that help me out when I'm struggling with concentration and motivation. So if you're struggling with similar things, you can give them a try and see if they work for you. If you have any other rituals of yours, you can drop them down below in the comments so I can also try something new out for me. And let's share useful tips for each other. Because when one says that these are mere distractions and they are not important, I'm saying that these are my little rituals that actually help me manage my struggles, because I have a lot, especially with mental health and all the overwhelm that I have to deal with on a daily basis. Sometimes it feels unbearable, but these things really help a lot. And I think that it would be straight up stupid to underestimate the importance of these rituals, honestly. I've noticed that I have much less sad thoughts and like I'm spiraling less into my own head, and I feel that it started to get better after I've started the therapy and I learned a lot of helpful tools such as the ones that I mentioned before. Like a lot of these rituals are actually highlighted to me by my therapist, and shout out to all the helpful psychologists and psychiatrists out there. Biggest respect to all of you guys, especially now in times of internet and social media and all of the mental health awareness that is raising, which I'm super happy for. And we are realizing how actually complicated our brains are. We finally started taking care of psyche, which is as important as physical health. And I know that a lot of these problems were quote unquote not existent before, but our lifestyles have changed so much for the last 100 years, but as Homo sapiens, we were evolving for so much longer back in times. So such drastic changes, of course, they would cause some problems. So no wonder that everything like this is happening right now. Like a little over 100 years, we were all living in a big houses with big families, doing a lot of physical work and stuff like this, and we were exposed to sun, and we were exposed to people one way or the other. Like our families were constantly there, and we were eating much more healthier food, and our work-life balance was so much better than now. Like people are working 18-hour shifts, sometimes 24-hour shifts. Look at the doctors, especially in an ambulance. And now we're wondering, oh, why everybody's having mental health issues. Like, duh. Nowadays, people are living in a literal coffin with little to no people exposure. Like, a lot of people are working from home and never see anybody. They don't want to make families. They don't want to make new relationships. They're ordering everything that they need online, that they don't even have to go to the store to see people around them physically whatsoever. We're rarely going outside for the sun. We barely make time for going for a walk, for a simple walk. I'm not even mentioning like gym or weightlifting or anything like that. So yeah, basically we're not moving, we're not speaking, we're not breathing air, and all these little changes one by one, they are all affecting our brain. So yeah, if you recognize the problems that I mentioned, and as well as the lifestyle changes that I've mentioned, I think they could be correlated to a poor mental health and creativity and motivation and procrastination issues. Like, as a hyper-aware person about myself and somebody who likes to overanalyze things, I realize that everything I say has one way or the other affected my life. And now that I'm aware of these things, I can highlight them and have myself work through them to help myself be better and feel better, to make the negative changes revert back to what it was before, and also improve for the better of quality of life that it was before. And as somebody who needs to hear things like this, I decided that I could share this experience of mine. I'm not saying that I'm doing things absolutely right and you should do it the same way. I'm just sharing my experience, and maybe if what I do and say will help at least one person, it's already not in vain, and I'm happy about it. So yeah, that's how I'm thinking about stuff while doing some chores. They could be boring, but they stimulate my mind to think about things like this, which also is in a way entertaining and helpful. And I really want to catch this moment and appreciate each and every one of you who is supporting me, my husband, my dear friends, my family, and everybody here on this channel as well. Know this, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here already. Sending you guys hugs and kisses, and I love you and I miss you, and thank you very much. Sorry about being a little bit too emotional, but yeah. Anyway, I'm done making my little swatch, which is not little at all because my collection of markers is huge. So yeah, alcohol-based markers and acrylic paint pens. These are my favorite tools for now. And I'm honestly surprised that I haven't really found any marker that is not working well. I think only one is like barely surviving, so I'm gonna replace that. And the rest of it is going to serve me even longer. Thank you very much for joining me in this a little bit more philosophical video, and I hope I could entertain you with my TED Talks. Check out my other videos and leave your comments down below. If you want to support this channel and my work, you can leave a comment, a like, and subscribe to this channel and my other social media. I will really appreciate your input, and I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!